Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
and Jen Harris, an interior designer
who have teamed up to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings. Find the reframe.
Start your reclaim.
Welcome to another episode of Reframe and Reclaim. I'm Jen Harris.
And I'm Courtney Huckabee.
And summer is just around the corner.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys have the same feeling, but you start out the summer, it's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be relaxing. We're just gonna be able to do all these things and check all these summer bucket list items. And then summer happens and it's loud and it's chaotic and it's messy and it's
it's overwhelming.
Oh, that's kind of the best feeling.
That's a good feeling word. Yeah.
So if you've ever felt that way, today we're discussing summertime stress and helpful tips and strategies to help you reduce that as much as possible. And, have a wonderful summer, no matter what it looks like. We're looking for time together. We're looking for experiences with our children. We're not going to remember if your house was messy or not, right? I know you will at this moment, but they won't. So let's get into some tips and strategies on how we can make this summer really calm. Well, I'm still in that fantasy mode. So
I will say there are lots of people to manage and lots of expectations to manage for the summertime.
Yes.
So we want to make sure there's a balance of calm and fun and getting to have free time and having some structured expectations as well.
And I think that's one of the keys. So that's one of our first tips, right? Is we're going to have flexibility, but also structure. So you're like, how can you do those? Those things don't seem to go together, right? But the structure actually allows you to have the flexibility in those off times. So something we recommend is having a set morning schedule and a set evening schedule. And maybe something in the day, but during the day it's more flexible. You can have, because some days you're going to be going places, you might be, I say field trips, but it's not during school time, but you might be going to an amusement park, or you might be going to the library or seeing a movie. And so that daytime is really going to be more up and down and be changing more frequently. But if you can have, in general, consistent wake up times and in general consistent bedtimes, it's really going to keep everyone on schedule. And it's going to be easier in the fall when everyone has to transition back into school hours.
It's such and again, we want to have the relaxed part of the summer without all the stress of the school schedules and the sports schedules and the homework schedules and all those things if you're a person with children. But we also want to make sure that we're not just all losing all of those skills and some of that needed schedule to help us just survive the summer. We need some survival.
It's just a survival.
We're eating breakfast probably somewhere in the day. We might eat, dinner. There's a bedtime-ish,
Right.
And I like how you say there's structure, but there's flexibility within that.
Yes. Because I think that's what kids thrive with. At least, well, you can speak more to it because you deal with kids all the time. So I'll let you.
Well, and again, I think we all thrive with expectation. So really just communicating what those expectations are. So if they're thinking in their minds, if you have children, we get to sleep in all day, we get to eat whatever food we want, we get to stay up however late we want, and your eyes are, we're going to bed by 8, you're getting up at 7. It's really good just to communicate what those expectations are, and that way they have an idea of what's happening, and then what will when the free time will happen or when they'll get to go to the amusement park.
Right.
And then I think it's a really great time to teach some life skills as well.
Yes.
We focus so much of our school year time on academics, reading, math, strategy, critical thinking skills. We can use that as well in the house for them to learn those life skills that can help them be just successful adults one day.
Yes. So what kind of life skills do you recommend? And then I'll give mine 2 cents.
All of them.
We only have one summer, Courtney.
I know. So it depends on the age of your children, but as a mental health therapist and a certified parent educator, it's really important to allow your children opportunity to grow in their capabilities. So We've talked about in the past in our podcast, don't raise guests in your
Yes, love that
home.
quote.
And so we're really thinking about how do we help our children, whether they're 2 or 10 or 15, have a contribution to their space. So that can be anything from helping to meal prep. It can be,
Mhm.
taking care of their own bedroom space or a playroom space. It can be, making sure they're taking care of their hygiene or getting dressed by themselves or doing their laundry. Just anything that would be a responsibility for you as the parent, asking them, developmentally and age appropriate wise, have them learn that with your assistance.
One of the things that we would do, because the mornings can get so hectic and chaotic, whenever we were trying to rush them off to school, we would never make beds during the school year because it was just too much.
Sure.
But in the summertime, we'd always have the expectation of like, it's a slower morning. We're getting up a little slower. So, you can take your time as you're making your bed. Go eat a calm breakfast and make sure you're brushing your teeth. As opposed to just like, hurry up and brush, and we're getting out the door, and here's a snack to eat in the car on the way.
Right.
There.
Right.
So I think you can take advantage, to your point, of some of that downtime and extra time to train the kids in
Yes.
your home. I think another great thing you mentioned was depending on their age.
Mhm.
So you have meal prep, right? But maybe if it's an older kid, they're making, a meal list of what's needed. If it's younger kids, maybe you have a list of snacks that they normally have and they can check off when it's low. And then that way, you need to go to the grocery store and buy more. Or it could be setting up a seasonal bin of seasonal food. So if you do like a lot of s'mores in the summertime, or if you do a lot of smoothies, making a space and allocating a space for those items that you're not going to carry year round, but they do need to have a home during this set time period.
Yeah. And I think it's really important, we don't want to be so stringent and add more stress to you
Right.
as the parent or adult in the house. But I think it is helpful for you to make sure that, we're all contributing and we're all
Hmm.
knowing what the expectations are. So it may be, vacation time, who's packing your suitcase? What do you need when you go to the beach? What are some things that you might want to take with you as we're on this road trip? We're going hiking. What are some of the things that you want to make sure you have on this hike? And so asking them to do that critical thinking
Hmm.
and problem solving, and you going back and checking over and making sure they have what they need, not just the
Right.
snorkel and goggles. They also have sunscreen and the hat and the sunglasses and the dry clothes. But that's a really great opportunity to teach, thinking ahead and problem
Yes.
solving.
I would say sunscreen is not a time for natural consequences. That is something you need to follow up on.
Definitely. Yeah. There's danger in there. So if
Yeah.
there's ever danger, we want to make sure we're always there for the backup to make sure that that's taking care of their safety.
But I think, tying those life skills into what they're already doing. So if you're doing a nightly refresh at the end of dinner where everybody's kind of doing a chore, making sure that those expectations are still there. So we do this during the school year. We're going to still do this in the summer, and we might add this other layer on top of it,
Yeah.
right? We might add this extra chore. I
Mhm.
think it's also really important not to book yourself. I know this is way easier said than done.
It happens so often.
No, it's hard for me because I want to do it all.
Who doesn't?
I want to get that bucket list and I want to check off all the things.
Yeah. And remember, theory and practice is very different. How long it takes
Yes.
to get the dishes done or get the kids dressed on, a Tuesday summer morning might be a little bit different than
Right.
a typical day.
But I think instead of packing, we're going to do all this. What is each kid's top one thing they want to do this summer, and prioritizing that so
Mhm.
that way they're going to have the happy memory of the summer because they're going to do the top thing that they did,
Mhm.
instead of having something every single day. Because then it does kind of get lost in the fog if you're always doing the fun things every day.
Well, and I think there is also time for practicing, that the instant gratification
Mm,
delay as well. So we might
yes.
say, we're, planning to do this trip or this activity or event later in the summer. Let's work on earning that, or let's work on making sure we're doing the responsibilities so we can have some of that fun as well. And not just the entitlement of, well, it's summertime, we're going to go to Disney every summer,
Right.
or it's summertime, we're going to go to the beach every summer. So it can be a really great thing to make memories with your children and do those things if you have the opportunity with your work schedule as well. But I think again, making sure everybody has those expectations
Yes.
communicated.
And, this isn't saying go do big grandiose trips every summer. It might just be we're going to a new park that's on the other side of town that we have never gotten to
Mhm.
because we didn't have the time, right? So there's definitely lots of little things you can do to make it special.
Yeah.
Another thing that I found that's helpful for me is really simplifying meals. So again, I talked earlier about having a bin for like seasonal foods, but also having just those easy to grab things for kids to snack on
Yeah.
hand. So that way I'm not having to go prep things. I buy our big container of grapes. I go ahead and rinse them, or my kids help me rinse them too, and we'll do this. But we go ahead and take it off the vine, so that way it's grab and go. They can open the tank container, grab their snack. It's really easy. This also works really well for meals. So if you have older kids, what can they make for themselves? Can they make a peanut butter and jelly? Can they throw a pizza in the oven? What can you have at home that's easy for them to make?
And I think again, you're gonna have more food costs possibly with children being at
Oh,
home more,
100%.
especially if you have teenagers. I hope you survive the summer. But also like if they're involved in, what is the list for the grocery store and knowing, when dinner time is, so they're kind of thinking ahead of like those snacks and things like
Mhm.
that. Making sure that they're aware of, you're going to be helping to make the dinner tonight, or I need you to help me decide what we're going to have for dinner next week. Let's go to the grocery store and make that list. It can be really helpful for them to just like learn those skills too.
Yes.
Yeah. But I like that you have their snacks easily available for them.
Yes.
And so they're not like, Mom, I'm hungry. Mom, I'm hungry. You're like, what did you rinse this week?
Right.
What snacks do we have in the cabinet? And are those reachable and accessible for them?
And I will say we also set a limit where it's like just because these snacks are available doesn't mean you can go have 5 of each thing and blow it out in a week. So yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
might be this is the snacks we have for this week, make it last,
Yes.
So level setting their expectations and budgeting.
Yeah. But I think it can be really fun. And again, when you talk about like the idea of not cramming all of the fun in and the the hope and the reality can be really different. So it might be, what's one fun thing we're going to do this week?
Hmm.
Instead of like every single
Yes.
day I'm entertaining my children, it's okay for them to be a little bored. It's really helpful for their brains actually to
Hmm.
have some boredom. Let them get creative, let them read, let them, come up with a game, let them figure out how to entertain themselves. But also giving them time to appreciate those outside of the house things or new things that they get to experience in the
Yes.
summer times.
And this is, I know you have talked about it before where your son didn't use all of his birthday gifts or you haven't opened them yet. This is a great time. Bring
To
out
get
those
them out.
toys that they haven't
Yep.
played with in a long time or that they've
Hmm.
never played with and just put it on the counter and just see what happens. And, you'll be amazed at how many
Yes.
toys get played with when they just are visibly there and easily accessible.
Yes. And I think that, talking about toys and getting things out, this might be a time for you to say, okay, we're going to do a refresh of your toys. What things,
Hmm.
are we kind of outgrown and not using or enjoying as much? Let's take those out of the space. Let's make space for the new things, or let's just make more breathable space. Sometimes it's overwhelming and overcrowded. So when you
Yes.
are at home, you're not feeling like it's extra cluttered, extra overwhelming for you and your brain as well.
And I think that's a great thing to do at the beginning of the summer, right? So you can sit your kids down and say, hey, you have a lot of extra time. This is
Mhm.
a great time to play with some of your toys. At the end of the summer, we're going to come back and look at what you played with, what you haven't, and maybe we'll let go of, the items that we're no longer playing with and give them to someone else. And so they have the mental, no, they have the expectation of
Expectation,
let me
yeah.
see what I'm playing with and what I really want to keep and what I can let go.
Yeah. And I like to include them in that decision
Yes,
making too. It's
100%.
not like I haven't seen you play with this board game all week. We're gonna toss it out. That's a great way to start a summertime stressful battle.
Right?
Uh, but allowing them to have that opportunity to, experience those things and, play outside and it doesn't always have to be expensive or time consuming the things that we're doing.
Right.
But I think as parents, sometimes we feel like the expectation from our children is entertain me. This is supposed to be a fun
Yes.
summer. What are
Yes.
we going to do next that's fun? And really level setting those expectations for your children, but also for yourself.
And I think it comes down to really goal setting. Like, what are your goals for this summer? And what do you want your kids to learn or achieve or do, right? So if it's like, let's say you're wanting them to learn those life skills, like when are you going to teach them and train them and allocate time for that? If it's something where, well, I don't want them to lose their reading, then maybe they read a book a week, or do a book report a month, depending on their grade level, to keep up those skills, or a math activity once a week, so that way they're not losing the academic side, but
Right.
it's not stringent. They can learn to time manage because they
Right.
have all week to do it. See if they procrastinate or get it done, first thing.
Yep.
That can teach them a lot about themselves. But also goal setting, do you want them to play outside more? If so, make the sunscreen easily accessible. Make the outdoor toys easily accessible. So again, I know I'm saying a lot, but if you want them to do something, like put it right there out in front so they have easily access to it.
Great opportunity for that.
There you
right?
go.
Not, I would like you to play outside, figure it out.
Yes.
More of, here are some outside activities, here's the sunscreen, here's, the swimsuits, and here's the water hose, whatever it is. I think it is really important for us to be involved in what we
Yes.
want our children to do and be a role model of that too. If I want my kids to be reading, am I role modeling reading? If I want my kids to be, brushing their teeth every day, am I brushing my teeth every day? I want them to be outside. Am I going outside with them too? So kids really are practicing what they see other people practicing. They want to do what other people are doing. And who wants to be told, go read a book? I'm not going to read a book. That's not fair. And it's not fair. But be a good role model to
Right.
those habits you want your kids to be, adopting themselves.
And maybe you need a quiet time. Maybe you need
I
30
do.
minutes in the day
I do.
where it's like everybody just decompresses. Maybe after lunch, where you would normally have like a nap time for younger kids. This can be quiet time, so you can go read. You can play in your afternoon. You can go play by yourself.
Draw. Take a
Yeah.
nap with your stuffies, whatever that is. Yeah. But I think it's really important, yes, summer is fun. Yes, summer is exciting, but we don't want the fun and excitement and the planning to all land on your shoulders of
Yes.
all the things I'm supposed to be doing to entertain my children. So we are excited for summertime. I will say summer is a little challenging because I'm still working and trying to have fun with my kid, trying to make family time. But if you can, figure out even those moments of time after work or those weekend times to have something special or fun, where you're just doing family time together. I think those memories and moments last a lot longer than all of the gifts and toys we might want to be, throwing at our children during the summertime.
Yeah, to say entertain yourself.
Go have
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
So for more tips and tricks, be sure to follow along. You can follow us on social media, like and subscribe, and share this with a friend if you know they're going to be struggling this summer, or if they put really high expectations on
Yes.
themselves. Let them know it's going to be okay. There's more people in the house. It's going to be a little more chaotic, but just put some systems in place now. That'll help you have a smoother summer.
Okay. We look forward to talking with you soon. And if you have any great ideas for us, let us know.